Greetings everybody, welcome back to another video, and this is a different kind of video here in my basement where my Apple collection is. And time for a little rant here about some old iOS summer devices that are affected, that because Apple recently, just over a month ago, I think it was in early July, like right after the 4th of July, Apple, for whatever reason, stopped allowing you to activate the original iPhone on iOS 2 and 3, the iPhone 3GS, any version, iOS 3 through 6, and the iPhone 4, only the GSM or the AT&T models. The Verizon or CDMA models are unaffected. Which again, I'm hoping that Apple does fix this. It is still possible, but it's been over a month, so that chances seem pretty unlikely. And I'm just showing my iPhone 4S here, on iOS 5.0, because also around that same time, again, this iPhone 4S I've showed on my channel many times. It's perfectly, legitimately native running iOS 5.0, top of on-the-line 64 gig on Sprint, and they're been updated nor downgrade, and everything, and because also right around the same time, which I'll get into, but first off, so obviously I'm not happy that obviously Apple did kill that. Obviously for years, I don't know when, you've been unable to activate an original iPhone or iPod Touch first gen running on iOS 1. But recently the iPhone 3G, 3GS, and then the GSM model of the iPhone 4 and cellular or GSM iPad first and second gens, I believe are also affected, which is a shame, I believe, and also any A5 or A6 device running iOS 5 or 6 that starts with the IMEI 99 is also affected. So this 4S, if I were to reset it, it would be affected. But it is a shame. Obviously, I'm not happy about it. I'm hoping that Apple fixes it. But I did test to see if that fear was true after finding out on Reddit that that I couldn't activate these devices. So it's like, all right, I pulled out my fully updated iPhone 3G on iOS 4.2.1, my fully updated iPhone 3GS on iOS 6.1.6, and my fully updated AT&T iPhone 4 on iOS 7.1.2. And I just have another iPhone 3GS booting up there. And sure enough, it gives an error message every time I try to activate the iPhone 3G. Obviously, the latest it can go is iOS 4, so you need to connect it to iTunes, and it brings up the unable to activate, or there was a problem with your iPhone or something like that. Please research this for support. And so it's like, okay, so this seems to be true. And then obviously 3GS and iPhone 4 will just say cannot activate, which sucks. For the iPhone 4, it says SIM required, but sometimes it will also say unable to activate. So that's a shame. But at the same time, I do have, as I showed, a glorious video recently showing that I have every iPhone from the original iPhone to the iPhone 5S on their original release version. and that's native, non-jailbroken, non-downgrade, non-bypass setup. Um, anything like that, which I'll get into in a sec. Um, but again, there is an iPhone 3GS on iOS 3.0 in white that I'm watching online. That's brand new, open box, never been activated. That I wish I could get, but again, there's no point in paying a fortune for something that doesn't even work anymore. So, same thing with some very pricey iPhone 3G demo unit that I'm watching for close to $500. If it can't activate, then no point in buying it. It's open box, unactivated. It's a demo unit 3G, and also an open box white iPhone 3G on iOS 2.0. And as well. So now, since as of right now, those devices are unable to be activated, there's no point in wanting to buy them. So paying a fortune for something that can't even use. But at least I do have an iPhone 3G on 2.0, a 3GS on 3.0, let alone a 4 on 4.0 that are legitimate, and they're black balls. But hey, can't complain. So I should still be happy, and I have a free MGS demo unit on iOS 3, an iPhone 4 demo unit on iOS 4. So again, can't complain. But I knew that eventually was going to happen, and I know there are deactivation issues for some 4S and 5 models on iOS 5 and 6 that start with the MEI 99, and I believe some iPad 3s, 4s, and mini ones. And A8, A9 on my devices on iOS 8 and 9. But again, I have plenty of those, so I am very happy that I do have. I am, but I am going to be thankful about how far this how my collection has grown. There's still lots I need. I still don't have a white iPad 4 standard model. I do have some iPad 4 demo units in white on iOS 6, but I don't have any standard models, iPad 4s in white on iOS 6 yet. I do have a couple of black ones, and I don't have a Mini 1 or Air 1 in white on iOS 6 for the Mini 1 and iOS 7 for the Air 1. So, again, there's things I'm missing, but man, has my collection grown over the last 2 years for sure. Because did I really have a good 2024, that's for sure. And finally getting a legitimate iPhone 4 on iOS 4.0 earlier this year, finally in 2026, that I had to pay a fortune for. But so that's a shame. Apple could fix, obviously. So again, maybe they've acknowledged and they're working to fix the issue. I highly doubt it, but nonetheless, I am happy that I do have very rare original iPhones through the iPhone 4s on their original iOS that are natively activated. So now getting into the next thing is let's rant about iOS Legacy Kit. iOS Legacy Kit is basically killing the point of collecting rare, never updated iOS devices. And also, I don't think those activation issues, I don't think it affects the iPod Touch first gen on iOS 2 or 3, or the second gen, third gen, or fourth gen. So, only the iPhones original through the GSM iPhone 4. So that's where I think Apple will hopefully fix it, hopefully. But moving on here, another thing I wanted to rant about is iOS Legacy Kit. iOS Legacy Kit, I remember hearing about it for the first time last year, is literally killing the purpose of collecting rare iOS summer devices, because it is now very easy to downgrade, and you can also downgrade. I heard you can downgrade an iPhone 4S to any version now, so it's very easy to get an iPhone 4S on iOS 5.0. Frankly, for me, this one is legit. I've had it for over 2 years too, so before it was very easy to downgrade a 4S to iOS 5. I think you could only through SSH blobs, or maybe there was an exploit at that time. I can't remember, but guaranteed, as proven many times, this 4S on iOS 5.0 is native. So, but iOS Legacy Kit, you can now downgrade an iPhone 4S to any iOS version. So, through iOS Legacy Kit, you can jailbreak. It's very easy on the downgrade several devices. So, untethered, and literally iOS Legacy Kit, it also can bypass accommodation on through something called Hacktivate on the original iPhone 3G, 3GS, and the GSM iPhone 4, and any iPad models that are affected, or any A5, A6 devices that are affected, A8, A9 devices that are affected on iOS 8 and 9. So literally, but it's just, I am pointless, because I think you have to put it in recovery mode, update, then downgrade. Yeah, save SSH blobs, upgrade, then downgrade. So it's definitely not worth it, obviously, because it defeats the purpose of collecting a rare iOS device. So, literally, iOS Legacy Kit is literally killing that. Because now it's very easy to either bypass accommodation, downgrade, and jailbreak. So, legacy devices very easily now. So, which is quite sad. I hate iOS Legacy Kit. I don't use it. I only collect rare iOS summer devices that have guaranteed never been updated nor downgraded. Jailbreaking devices, it depends. And sometimes I'll collect, like an iPhone 5S on iOS 8 or 9, right? That's been updated, but not fully. I am stuff like that. iPhone 7, iOS 11, iPhone 10, iOS 12, right? Stuff like that. But most of my iOS devices in my collection are on their original version of iOS. So, so that's another thing that's sad. So, just wanted to go on a rant about me being sad that these 3 iPhones right here, as of right now, unable to accommodate natively in setup, which sucks. I didn't test it on the original iPhone because 3G is on the same thing. So, and all my 3GSs or my original iPhones, for that matter, on iOS 3 actually have content on it and everything. So, so I definitely didn't want to erase any of those. So I was obviously going to test this on fully updated models, because obviously I would never ever erase any ultra rare ones. So like an iPhone 3GS on iOS 3.0, or an iPhone 4 on iOS 4.0, or so would never do that. Oh, fun fact. This iPhone 3G was manufactured January 2009, so I think it originally shipped with iOS 2.2. I have a white 3G on iOS 2.2. This iPhone 3GS was manufactured June of 2009, so it originally did have iOS 3.0. this iPhone 4 was manufactured the end of June 2010, so it originally did have iOS 4.0, and these are both 32 gig models too. So, um, but 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 so that's something. But luckily, I do have the 3GS 3.0, 4 and 4.0. But but really cool. So just wanted to rant about the fact that I know that the older iPhones can't be accommodated as of right now, and also ranting about iOS Legacy Kit and literally killing, um, defeating the purpose of rare iOS device collecting, because it allows you to easily downgrade certain devices, and jailbreak certain devices and bypass setup on affected devices that can't be activated. So, um, just a little bit of a different 15 to 16 minute video that I wanted to do. And peace out, everybody.